So now we want to make our test for our lesson plan. Because remember, before we can truly fill in these blocks or boxes, we need to know what it is that we're testing. We need to have an end goal in mind. Like, what is it that we aspire to do? And so we knew from our district provided pacing calendar when we clicked on connecting geometry and algebra that our main TEK, our bread and butter TEK that they expect us to teach is 8.7b. So our test needs to be over that at a bare minimum. Now, of course, in PLC, we can decide if we want to combine that with volume, or maybe we want to combine it with Pythag, or maybe we want to spiral back to slope and transformations. Of course, that is for the PLC process, so I'm just going to assume that we're doing a test just on 8.7b. So we'd come over here on the side of CMS, we click Assessments or the drop-down menu, and we want to create a test. I always recommend manual, but Express can work too. And so I'm going to call this surface area 8.7b example test. And we're going to choose a subject, mathematics. Our grade level is 8th grade, of course. I always leave it at 1 because we can always add more problems. So for right now, number of items is 1. Our preferred standard document is TEKS Math 2012. That's when these TEKS were first adopted and utilized. We don't want to answer key only. That was for the back in the old days when I had hair and we used to use Scantron. And leave most of these settings, the rest of them the same as they are. You can always change the default fonts and size if you want, but we usually leave those alone. Here are all your other settings. Right now, we're going to leave those alone as well. So let me close that. But I now have test settings open. And one thing we want to be able to do, allow students certain things. So do we want to allow assessment notes? And right here it says allows teachers and administrators to provide feedback on the use and effectiveness of a scheduled assessment. We don't want to do that. But if you scroll down to accommodations, line reader, magnifier, text to speech. Always enable those if you can, especially if appropriate. If not appropriate, don't enable them. But typically I enable them given the fact that I have collaborative classes in nature. But there you have, you can take away things, add things. Most things I leave alone. Pretty much it's pretty standard to leave everything else alone. So I'm going to close that section. And now test restrictions. I always click, we see right here where it says restrict access to item content and answer choices. Always, make sure it's on always. This is how you feel about it. But notice that it says if you leave it on, if you click on it, it's going to be available to parents and students. That, of course, be smart about what you're doing, but you already know that. And so from there, I think that's it. And of course, again, you can always change settings if you want. So we're going to author items from item bank or new items. I'm going to click new items. And here on this screen, you have your multiple choice, true, false, gridded, open response, all the tiles you can do, and things that are online only. And so here, for the old school multiple choice, you click on it, and you could ask a question like, what is the surface area of the box below? And then you could paste a picture. You could, right here, you could paste a picture of a box. But notice that this question, and this is a good example, notice that the question, the way that you ask the question matters if you're going to customize your question. We should have what is the total surface area or what is the lateral surface area. Now amongst this though, I wanted to show you a few little things to know. We read this as what is the total surface area of the box below. You could highlight this and have it check spelling, word not in dictionary. Notice that the word toll is not in the dictionary. And so I highlighted to make sure that everything was spelled correctly. And it's like, yo, you might want to change that to something else. Oh, okay, I meant total. That's what it should have been. So then, okay, I messed up. I think I pressed add, but it reminds me to change that to total. Another thing you can do is add special characters. So I'm going to click space and click special character. Let's say I wanted something about more mathematical. I wanted, it's about, or symbol, or maybe I wanted, let's see, money symbol, or maybe I wanted, uh, I don't know, an arrow. So I wanted you to see that the special symbols are there for whatever purpose you need. Then also though, text to speech. If you highlight this whole thing, and then right here where it says alternate text, you can add some if you wanted, and you have a phonetic guide if you need it. But what's kind of cool is that you can make sure that it reads this verbatimly for our text to speech students who have that accommodation. So that might be very important to adjust. For example, if you did 5/4, it might read that as 5/4. But here you could highlight 5/4 and have it read it as 5/4. You might want that literally to say 5/4. And then you click OK. So that's kind of cool. You can insert images. You can insert video. A lot of people don't know that, but you can. You can insert an equation. So let's say I wanted to enter an exponent. You see how it gives me the exponent box? Then I could type into it whatever it is that I wanted to type in. I can do relations right down here. All this. You can do mixed numbers. Whatever it is you need to do, you can type it in absolute value. So, and insert tables. But let's say you're like, nah, I don't want to create a new problem anymore. I want to replace it. Okay. Here, maybe you didn't see what I did. I clicked replace. Here I can replace with an actual release problem from STAR, the district, or a fellow campus. So for example, select standard. Let it load, let it do its thing. Now I'm going to type in 8.7 B. 8.7b, there we are, save and close. Now, it's thinking, okay, it found 17 items, and it tells me where they're from 2022 star, 2022 star, 2021 star, 2021. This was a district created problem. This is also a district created problem. And then over here on the right, you might see exposures, which from my understanding is the number of times it's actually being utilized in an assessment. Okay? So there you go. Once you have the problem, like I would say, hey, I want this problem. Yes, and it covers these teaks. I click add. And so now number one has been replaced with that problem. But keep in mind, you can also adjust it from here. Maybe you want to make this a lateral surface area problem. But if you do that, of course, you can adjust your answers and whatnot. Once you have done all of that, you can preview it in TestNet. And this allows you to see what the kiddos will see. So this is the exact format that the students would see it. And you'll see up here the notepad, answer eliminator. Okay, and so right here I don't see the stuff we were supposed to have. Some of the combinations, so I need to go back to my settings. Maybe I missed something earlier in this video. But once you do that, you exit. You click this one right here. You exit, return to test details. You can discard or save. I'm going to click save just to make a point. So here's how it'll look. It'll tell you the test standards that are on it. the number of problems, points is worth, what the correct answer is. Um, Here, I can review item details more thoroughly. I can review my test settings again, make sure everything's on correctly. Okay, and then if I don't like it, I click, test items, make sure I'm missing, do I have everything? Okay. Oh, tools manipulatives. I needed to enable that. Why? So the kids will have access to the decimals calculator. And there's different decimals calculators. We use the graphing calculator here in 8th grade. So now I need to save that, make sure that's enabled. Now it says enable graphing calculator. Make sure all my settings are correct. I'm content with all that. Then I can download a test booklet if I wanted, an answer key, a cover key. I can re-preview the test again, and I want to do that to see if it'll show that setting I just clicked, or maybe it'll have to post and then it will. See, it doesn't show it here, and so before I fully publish it, or if I do publish it, I want to make sure I don't share the code with anybody. So I need to make sure it shows that graphing calculator. And then I click finalize test, and it warns you, gives you a prompt. You can schedule the test, start date whenever you choose, end date. I like to make sure students cannot launch before. I also don't like them to see their test results. That's a controversial feature. I don't like to do it though. You can change your passcode. Like if I want it to be Pikachu, there you go. I can require the use of test application. I can allow only assigned students to take the test. A lot of people recommend that setting. I can track and display student response time. I always like that. I like making it a time test so kids know where they're at. But these are all of opinion, and we should talk in POC and talk with our coordinator, of course. Save and publish. Let's see, now the online passcode is Pikachu. This example test is going to be posted, but nobody's going to know the password. But even if they do, I plan to delete it, and it's not going to be an actual grade. So that's what it looks like. If you have further questions, ask me. And know that you are appreciated.